Hello, guys. This is from Mrs. Ivy. Today, I'm going to be continuing the series on how to care for the Rex Begonia plant. And this is episode number 2. And the title of this episode is How to Properly Water the Rex Begonia plants. As you all know, watering any plant plays a big role in the health of any plant. When it comes to the Rex Begonia, you have to know how to properly water it to keep the leaves from being crispy, from fading, from turning brown, and from shedding a lot. So today I will share with you 2 ways you can water the Rex Begonias to keep the leaves from having those issues. Now remember that on the first part of the series, in episode 1, I show you how to inspect the leaves and how to tell whether they are crispy or not. In this episode here, I'm going to be showing you several ways that you can prevent the leaves from getting crispy and turning brown and fading. So in this episode, I want to show you how I water my Rex Begonia plant in order for them to be healthy. Now, there are several things that you're going to need. One, you're going to need a saucer or a bowl. 2, you're going to need a watering can. And 3, you're going to need some water. Next, you want to inspect your plant, the soil, to make sure that the plant needs to be watered. You don't want to water it if it does not need to be watered. 2 ways you can check. One, you can use your finger, and as you can see in the video, exactly what I'm doing. 2, you can try what I call the lift test, where you lift the plant up and down. If it feels lightweight, go ahead and water it. If it's sort of heavy, it probably don't need water, so refrain from watering it. So first, I'm going to be showing you how to bottom water the plant. Then later on in the video, I will be sharing with you how to water the Rex Begonia from the top. Now, I like to water it from the bottom, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you both ways. Both of them works good, but to prevent them from having fungus gnat, I like to water from the bottom. Here you see me taking a saucer, and I'm placing water in the saucer, and then I will be putting the plant in the saucer that's filled with water. When placing the plant in the saucer, try not to get the leaves in the water. Here, some of the leaves are literally touching the water, so I will be taking the leaves out of the water and placing on the outside of the saucer. This video, I'm not going to speed up because I want you to see exactly how I water it. If I speed it up, you might just miss something. Plus, a lot of you guys wants to know how long to let it sit in the water. And because of that, I'm going to be allowing it to play through without speeding it up so you can see exactly how long I allow this plant to sit in the water before I remove it from the water. I will come back from time to time to let you know exactly what I'm doing. Here you see me making sure that the water is coming above the bottom of the pot because you want the pot to absorb as much water as possible. Or should I say, you want the roots to absorb as much water as possible during this process. So just notice how long that I'm going to allow this plant to sit in the water. From time to time, I will watch the plant to see whether it's absorbing the water. If the water gets too low in the saucer very fast, I know that I need to add some more water to the pot, to the saucer, and you will see that now. I'm adding some more water because this plant was very dry, and I'm going to be adding some more water because this plant is absorbing the water very quickly, and that's a good thing. I will continue to watch the amount of water in the saucer. If the water doesn't recede, then I know that it has gotten enough water. If the water begins to recede, then I know that the plant is still absorbing the amount of water that it needs. So you see here again, I am adding more water to the saucer. Again, I am adding more water to the saucer because if you notice, the water is receding a lot from the saucer, so therefore this plant is very thirsty and it is absorbing the water. The roots really, really needs water. Several minutes have passed and I'm still allowing the plant to sit in the water because I allowed the plant to get very dry, which I shouldn't have, but I did. So if it's dry, it's going to let you know. It's going to continue to absorb the water. So I'm watching the water to see whether it is still receding before I remove it from the water. So the water is still receding, so I'm adding some more water to the saucer. If you don't allow the plant to get too dry, you probably won't have to go through these steps that I'm taking now. You probably won't have to allow it to sit in the water as long as it is sitting now. Or you might have to let it sit in the water even longer. You be the judge by watching the water. This is a step by step video on how to properly water I don't just want to tell you to water it from the bottom, but I want to show you. That's why I won't speed up the video. I'm still watching the water, the amount of water that's in the saucer. That's the most important step in watering the Rex Begonia from the bottom. You can't just sit it in water and walk away and think that it's going to get the proper amount of water. So you want to watch it. Okay, I am now feeling very comfortable with it, that it has received enough water, and I am taking it out of the water. I have the second saucer, or you can use a bowl to place it in a saucer that has no water. And now I'm about to drain the water, which is very important. Now, this plant received a lot of water because of the amount of time it sat in the water. And in order for it not to get root rot, you're going to have to drain off all the excess water that's sitting in the bottom of the pot. You don't want your plant soil to be too soggy at the bottom. So you want to make sure that this plant drains properly. I mean, thoroughly drains. Make sure all the water has stopped draining before you just put it away. You will see me in this video pick this plant up, tilt it to make sure that all the water drains. Now, I could have just taken the bottom saucer that's on the plant and just removed it, but there are reasons why that I didn't do that. On most of my plants, I take that bottom off so it's easy to drain. But on this one here, I didn't remove it for a reason, and I'm just going to make sure that there's no water that's sitting in the bottom of that particular saucer that's attached to the plant. Now I'm just allowing it to drain in the saucer that it's attached to. And notice now that the water has even reached the top of the soil. That's because it was very dry and it absorbed the water all the way up to the top of the soil. Now I'm about to drain it some more to make sure that there's no water that's sitting in the bottom of the attached saucer. Keep draining, draining, draining until there's no more water coming from the plant saucer. It may take you a while, but you have to do it if you want the plant leaves to be healthy. Continue to sit it down, lift it up, let it drain. Sit it some more as the water will come from the top all the way into the bottom saucer, and then you lift it some more and continue to let it drain as long as it takes. I never rush draining my Rex begonias. I love that their leaves are healthy and I'm going to keep them that way. Next, I'm going to be showing you how to water from the top. This is my second begonia plant. Notice that I'm inspecting it with my finger to see whether it needs to be watered. Now you can also do the lift test. In this one, I didn't do the lift test, but you can to see whether it needs to be watered or not. According to what I noticed on my finger, it needs to be watered. So I'm going to take my watering can with water in it, and I'm going to water this plant from the top. Now I'm using my hand to film this video, so it's going to be difficult for me to show you the entire plant. But you notice I'm taking the water can and I'm watering the entire plant from the top. The main thing I want to happen during top watering is I want the water to drain very well from the top all the way to the bottom, so the plant will not be too soggy or too wet. When watering the Rex Begonia, you are trying to make sure that you are keeping the plant leaves healthy. That's the main thing about the Rex Begonias. They have beautiful leaves, and you don't want them crispy. You don't want them turning brown. You don't want them shedding, and you don't want them fading. So you have to properly water the Rex Begonia plants in order to prevent it. I take very careful steps in watering these Rex Begonias because I don't like the crispy sounds and I don't want my leaves looking bad, but I want them healthy. And this is why I take so much time to water this particular plant. In future episodes, I'm going to be showing you other things that can impact the health of the Rex Begonia leaves. It's not just the watering that impacts them, but there are other environmental issues that can also cause your Rex Begonia plants to have unhealthy leaves. Now you notice that I water this plant thoroughly because it was thirsty, and I continue to water because I want the roots to get very saturated with the water. Later on, you will see that after I do that, I will make sure that I drain this plant very thoroughly. Just like the bottle watering method, you also want to do this when you water your Rex Begonias from the top. You want to drain the water very thoroughly. First, you let it sit. You hope that all the water that you watered the plant with is coming from the bottom and is going into the saucer. So as you notice, I'm removing it from the water that has drained from the plant. I placed it in a small saucer that does not have any water in it. Once it drains in that saucer, I remove it and I place it back in the original saucer after I poured the water off of that saucer, and I drain it some more. The most important step here now is to make sure that you drain every ounce of water from the plant from the bottom. Again, you don't want the Rex Begonia leaves to be impacted by water that's still in the bottom of the pot. So just simply take your time and make sure there's no more water that has drained from the bottom. It takes a little time, but if you do it like this, your Rex Begonia plants are going to be healthy. I remove it from that saucer again, and I'm going to let it drain some more. And yes, I do that each time that I water my Rex Begonia. Of course, it don't take me as long. It's taking longer now because I am filming. Now it's right around 20 minutes since I started with the bottom watering, and this is how long it usually take me. Maybe a little bit less because I don't be filming. but I would say a good 15-20 minutes is how long it takes me to water both plants from the top and from the bottom. After you make sure that the plant has drained properly, you can place them back in their proper settings. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.